All right, so I plan on doing 4 short videos here that concern issues related to the negative aspects of our physical dimension, or the negative aspects of our world, our planet, this physical reality, and whether that has any implications for falls. I've already rejected the type of fall that we see in Abrahamic religion, particularly Christianity, and in Plato. These descents from an ideal realm or a higher reality based on either the soul falling from a purer state or due to disobedience to a command or rule. We've rejected that already. But are there other mechanisms that lead to falls or descents? We want to talk about things like questions like whether demiurges can create worlds, lesser gods, and if so, does that mean that our world, for example, or worlds like ours, which are characterized by physicality and suffering and disease and death, do those characteristics and features determine that the Supreme Being does not create those particular worlds, but rather they're always created by demiurges of some sort, be they evil or otherwise? And questions like that. So in this first one, I want to talk first of all about and like I said before in the last video, some of this is going to be a little bit of necessity. Some of it is going to be naturally speculative, but I think it's important to work through these things and think about them. So in this one, what I want to do, golly, people keep texting me. What I want to do is talk about what I think in general the structure of the cosmos is. So you'll recall that I've said, I've rejected the Platonic and Christian idea of an ideal realm where we have immortality like God has it, and where there's where in spite of the attempt to link this ideal realm with the realm of shadows and copies by positing things like emanations in Platonism and Kabbalah, uncreated energies like you see in Eastern Orthodox Christianity, things like that. In spite of that attempt, given that the characteristics of these two realms are completely opposite in the sense that one is infinite and eternal, the other is finite and temporal, one is contingent, one is non-contingent, there's no way to posit something like energies or emanations that are going to ontologically connect between them. And I talked about the fact that while we can have something like immortality, it's not the kind of immortality that God has by nature. So, just by virtue of being divine, God is unable to die. We can overcome certain limitations in this life, I believe, such as, disease and aging and things of that nature, but we require something to maintain and sustain us, due to the fact that we are by nature finite. We therefore require some continual, perhaps, ingestion of something, or something along those lines that preserves our life and extends our life. So keeping that in mind, then, I believe that there are a series of dimensions that are interconnected, but they're not interconnected at the top to an ideal realm such as in Plato or Christianity. nor are they connected to some realm way down here that is the equivalent of, say, the Christian doctrine of hell or eternal conscious punishment, where the soul is eternally separated from God. There cannot be, ontologically speaking, a separation between the soul and God, because the person and all of creation is connected to him. We are non-dually an extension of God's being. So while there is still that basic distinction between God as source, origin, or creator, and us as that which is caused by the source, we are nevertheless extensions ontologically of his very being. So there's never a separation either. There isn't, in other words, there is no equivalency, but there's not a separation. Given that picture I've just created, in the middle, I should say not the middle, because there isn't literally a Platonic ideal realm or an eternal hell. But let's just think of the realms that do exist as sandwiched between those two conceptual bookends. Between, well, let's just say between God and this hypothetical ultimate hell, which doesn't ultimately exist. You have seven. Well, I'm not going to purport to know how many hellish realms there are, or heavens. But let's just go with 7 above the earth and 7 below. That's what Hinduism teaches. That's even, I believe, what Judaism teaches, because, or at least Jewish Kabbalah, because there are 7 planets that represent the 7 heavens for them that you find on the Kabbalistic tree of life. So this exists. This idea exists in different parts of the world. So without knowing precisely how many worlds or dimensions there are, let's just say that let's just call our planet Middle Earth, and we'll just say that there are 7 heavens above us and 7 hells below us. When we speak of heavens, we're not talking about these perfect realms like you think of in Christianity, where you think of paradise as a place where it's all, peaches and cream, where there's no death, no suffering of any kind, no opposition, no conflict, no no tension, whatever. That's not what we're after here. The heavens are all of these realms are like our realm, in the sense that death still exists. People still die. They may live a lot longer. Their bodies may be much finer and subtler. They may not be opaque and physical. They may not experience pain the way we do, or suffering at the level that we do. They still procreate. They still die. And they still go through a certain level of struggle, which I'm going to hold off on talking about that right now, because I want to get into that in another video in this series. We're going to leave that as a separate topic, but just for the sake of giving you an idea of what I mean by heavens, let's just say that it's not like what we were taught in Sunday school about heaven, about the Christian heaven. It's not a perfect place. The hells, likewise, may be places of greater suffering, places of purgation, and yet they're not places where good can't exist, or where we cannot make a beginning of reforming ourselves. So it's not all evil. So just as the heavens are not all good, the hells are not all evil. There's a way back up from the hells. Think of them as lower astral planes. So to finish this one up, I don't have a lot more to say about it other than to say this. I believe that beings which exist in the highest heaven, they don't have, even though they're in the highest heaven, the seventh heaven, they don't have the kind of conditional immortality I've talked about us eventually getting. They don't have that upon their initial creation, because like us, and like all the other realms between us and them, like we said in the previous video, we all have a dark dimension to our being. Evil has a substance, and that darkness has to be integrated with the lighter side of our being. The right and left have to be integrated in order for self-realization to occur, in order for true enlightenment to take place, in order for true healing to take place, in order to acquire the spiritual knowledge and experience that is needed to permanently cement ourselves in a state where we can no longer fall from immortality. And what I think is that the beings that fall in quotes, and I'll again talk more about that as well in another video coming up. But I think beings that fall from the seventh heaven, in that they are that much more powerful, that much more seemingly immortal, due to living in, the Hindus would say, millions of years, that the highest gods are literally living millions of years. I don't know, I'm not claiming to know how long they live, but let's just say millions. As compared with those that live below in the lower realms, they live so long that they are seen to be almost immortal, if not immortal. Beings with that kind of power and energy would descend to a place that where their experience would truly communicate the gravity of what they have done, considering how powerful they are. Therefore, I think that a being that falls, or a god with a small g, that falls from the seventh heaven would fall all the way down to the seventh hell. And likewise, a being that falls from the sixth heaven would fall down to the sixth hell, and so on. A being in the first heaven would fall down to the first hell. And I think it is possible that beings on earth can descend not necessarily automatically to the first hell, but rather to maybe a kind of a Hadean realm that may be connected to this planet. Maybe it's not literally inside the planet, but perhaps there is a portal inside the planet that takes you to a realm that is more closely connected to this planet. It's kind of a prison that is connected to our planet, so that there is a distinct realm for each race, connected to each of the different locations, be it Earth or one of the seven heavens. They have their own distinct place where they go to experience purgation. Can a being who falls to one of the hells, can he then subsequently descend to an even lower hell? Again, I don't know for sure the answer to that question, but I would think no. I would think that each level is designed specifically for that type of being. And by design, I don't mean it was designed in advance by God, the way, let's say, the Christian God designs hell for the demons and the fallen angels and the unrepentant. I'm talking about the fact that God or the divine manifests a world from consciousness that is able to be, that is malleable and able to be shaped based on our choices and the overall, our feelings, our choices, our overall orientation towards God and the spiritual, and the state of our soul. We will go to a place that manifests, or that images and mirrors forth the state of our the state of our being. And I think that each of these realms manifests, the seventh hell manifests the state of a being that falls from the seventh heaven, and so on and so forth. I think that does it for this, and I will pick up with part 2, although I may not call them parts 1 through 4. I may give each of them separate titles. I think they deserve separate titles so that you know what to expect when you're clicking on the link, because while these issues are related, they do deal with quite distinct issues. So thanks for listening to that one, and I will, as soon as I can, get to the next one. I might even be able to do it in the next few minutes, depending on what happens with my schedule.